This is Real News Media TV, coverage you can trust. Please like, share, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. Select all for daily news updates. Police in Clarendon probing separate fatal shootings. The Clarendon police are investigating the shooting deaths of two men in separate incidents in the parish on Wednesday morning. In the first incident, 41-year-old fisherman Damian Elliott, otherwise called the Frufro of Darrett Street in Milk River, was shot dead by unknown assailants at his home. It is reported that about 12:10 a.m., residents heard explosions and alerted the police. On their arrival, Elliott was found inside his home with gunshot wounds. The crime scene was processed and the body was removed to the morgue. A 27-year-old man was later shot dead in Riches in the northern section of the parish. He has been identified as Jermaine Blackstock, otherwise called Nick. It is reported that about 7:55 a.m., Blackstock received a call and left home. Moments later, residents heard explosions and went to investigate. Blackstock was subsequently found along a roadway suffering from gunshot wounds. The police were summoned and Blackstock was taken to the hospital where he was pronounced dead. Investigations into the murders are ongoing. Between January 1 and June 26, a total of 39 people have been murdered in Clarendon. 20-year-old farmer charged for fatal home attack on shopkeeper in Westmoreland. 20-year-old Westmoreland farmer Justine Barnes has been charged for the shooting death of a woman at her home in the parish. Barnes, who is from Pike District in the parish, was charged on Tuesday for the murder of shopkeeper Magdalene Clark. The attack happened on Saturday, May 14. The police report that about 10:30 p.m., Clark was at her home located along the Belvedere Main Road in the parish when she was pounced upon and shot several times to the upper body. The police were summoned and on their arrival, Clark was taken to hospital where she was pronounced dead. During an investigation by the police, Barnes was identified as one of the suspects. He was taken into custody on Friday, June 24. He was subsequently charged on Tuesday, June 28, after a question and answer session was conducted with him in the presence of his attorney. His court date is being finalized. MP questions absence of rights groups at a vigil for victims of Clarendon massacre. Member of Parliament for Clarendon North Central Robert Morgan has questioned whether any human rights group attended Wednesday's candlelight vigil in honor of a mother and her 4 children who were hacked to death last week. Where are they now, asked Morgan, as hundreds of mourners turned out for the vigil, still shocked at the killings. Many chanted, danced, and sang to soothe their grief. Lobby group Jamaicans for Justice Tuesday reiterated its stance against the death penalty, the punishment that the Director of Public Prosecutions, Paula Llewellyn, said her office will be seeking for Rasheen Barnett, 23, who has been charged with murdering his cousins. JFJ's Executive Director, Michael Jackson, says while she understood the public outcry and the legal position of the DPP, mitigating factors such as Barnett's alleged confession have to be considered before any contemplation of death. But Morgan is insisting that JFJ's position ignores the victims' rights. He said although he doesn't believe in the death penalty, he's willing to make an exception in Barnett's case. This guy should never see the light of day, the MP told the news. Continuing, he said, though his death will not bring back our family member, I think we need to send a clear signal to the murderers out there that we are very serious, and if you take a life in this way, you should not keep yours. I don't care about the human rights because the JFJ is not here. Pointing out the many who came out in support of the vigil, he commented on the apparent absence of human rights group. None of them is grieving with the family, so my decision is I am with the victims. You can't go and advocate on behalf of the criminals. I am advocating on behalf of the people who have been murdered, noted the MP, who is also the minister with responsibility for information. According to Morgan, human rights groups are not in communities counseling or consoling anyone or even issuing press releases on behalf of the victims. I am not saying human rights people are not important, because we have some really terrible things that are happening in our society, he said. But where is the balance? What about the rights of the people who are victims of criminals defending those rights? So DPP is going to do her job, the courts are going to do their jobs, but I support what the DPP has said, he said. 31-year-old Kamisha Wright, Kimanda Smith, 15, Sharolee Smith, 12, Rafaela Smith, 5, and the 23-month-old Keshawn Henry Jr. were discovered inside their home with chop wounds and their throats slashed on June 21. Second person of interest in custody in relation to teen mom's killing. A second person of interest is in custody in connection with Sunday's fatal shooting of 17-year-old Denhamtown High School student Devonese Nelson. Senior Superintendent Michael Phipps, head of the Kingston West Police, told the news that the individual, Shaquille Stanbury, who goes by the alias Sean, reported to the police on Wednesday afternoon. He was accompanied by a family member. The police are still searching for Devonese's 17-year-old boyfriend and the father of her child, who is listed as the main suspect in her killing. SSP Phipps says the boy's uncle, who was detained on Monday, was released after being questioned. Devonese was found dead in an apartment shared by the boy and his uncle on Water Street in Denhamtown. It was reported that the teenager was shot in the head during a domestic dispute. Prime Minister promises more assistance to cushion rising prices. Prime Minister Andrew Holness on Wednesday announced that the government will provide more assistance in coming weeks to help cushion the effects of the rising cost of living. Mr. Holness said he understood how Jamaicans felt when they looked at the rising prices for food and other commodities such as electricity, but he sought to assure that this too will pass. But while Jamaicans wait for this period to pass, the Prime Minister said the government would continue to provide assistance, which would include more cash transfers. He disclosed that focus will be on the poor and vulnerable Jamaicans to ensure that they can survive this difficult time until matters in the geopolitical arena are resolved and some stability can return to our global energy and food markets. Mr. Holness was speaking at the opening of the Isratech Supercenter in Shooters Hill, Manchester. Earlier this week, Finance Minister Dr. Nigel Clark said the cost of intervention programs is putting a strain on the budget. The latest program is the We Care Energy Copay, under which the government pays a portion of the electricity bill for some Jamaicans over 4 months. The program is costing more than $700 million per month. Dr. Clark said the government has had to dig deep to find the additional funds to assist the Jamaicans. JMEA warns continued increases in BOJ's interest rate could damage the economy. The Jamaica Manufacturers and Exporters Association is warning that continued increases in the Bank of Jamaica's policy interest rate could damage the fragile economy. It says the massive increase is already causing a rise in lending rates. The JMEA further explains that increases in existing loans hurt consumers, workers, and small business owners who are already burdened by price increases. It says the increases in interest rate will have a significant negative effect on the construction industry, with the full impact to be seen late this year into 2023, when current projects are completed and the new ones dry up. The JMEA argues that there is no need for further increases in the policy rate as the monthly inflation rate has been a declining trend since December 2021. It states that the total inflation rate for the last 6 months was 4%, which annualizes to 8%. The JMEA notes this is a significant reduction from the 11.8% at its highest point and suggests further reductions based on the results for April and May. The Bank of Jamaica on Wednesday increased the policy interest rate to 5.5%. Mother and 2 sons arrested following gun seizure in Trelawney. A team of officers assigned to the Trelawney Police Division arrested and charged a mother and 2 sons in relation to the seizure of an illegal firearm and 15 rounds of ammunition during an operation in Kettering in Duncan's, Trelawney on Tuesday, June 28. Charged are 23-year-old Tariq Gale, 20-year-old Trey Gale, and 58-year-old Beverly Barrett, all of Kettering. Reports from the Falmouth police are that about 5:45 a.m., lawmen were in the area when a premises that was occupied by Barrett and her 2 sons was searched and the firearm and ammunition were found. All 3 were taken into custody and were subsequently charged. Family of Clarendon murder victims agree with a death penalty bid for accused killer. Relatives of a woman and her 4 children who were murdered in New Road, Clarendon, say they agree with the decision to seek the death penalty for 23-year-old Rasheen Barnett, who is accused of the killings. The Office of the Director of Public Prosecutions served a notice of death penalty on Mr. Barnett when he appeared in the Home Circuit Court on Tuesday. Peter Wright, the father of Kamisha Wright, who was one of the victims, agrees that the crime warrants extreme punishment.
That's my first child, Kamisha Wright. First child for me. If a man take 4 life, innocent life, a man can look on a 1-year-old baby and kill a baby, a 5-year-old baby, a 10-year-old baby, not to mention a 15-year-old, and kill them and kill the mother. A man like that mustn't come back on the street.
Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. Select all for daily news updates.